Alright, so we got the top part of the shocks mounted, and I'm not really liking how this looks. This kind of just looks goofy with the bent piece. If you look at it from the front, it looks like ears of an animal or something. I don't know, it just looks weird, looks goofy, kind of sticks out, doesn't really match anything on here. I kind of wanted to, the reason I did the curved piece was to kind of, be similar to how I did the front, but it just doesn't look the same. So I had the idea of just cutting this off, cut it off right here, and then add a straight piece, just like that. That'll not only look a lot better, it'll also be stronger. It'll tie it in with the very top corner piece. So I did a post on Instagram asking you guys, what do y'all think? Do you like the curved look, or do you think I should cut it off and replace it with this? Most of you guys agree with me. Yes, it looks weird. Replace it. So I agree. Let's cut this off and replace it. Alright, so I think we should work on the steering next, because I kind of want to put the tires on this thing and finally get it off these stands to see how this thing sits with the suspension, and I don't want the front tires flopping all over the place when we do that. So let's just install the rack and pinion and the tie rods. Worry about the steering wheel and the steering columns later, but this is the rack and pinion from Go Power Sports. I'm going to have to modify this thing a little bit, so therefore we can use these bigger Heim joints. Again, links for all this stuff in the description below. Definitely go check it out. Now, because of the location of the coilovers, I'm going to have the tie rods on the front of the spindles. Just like how I did with the VF1000. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit more tricky getting the Ackerman angle correct. But I've done it before. It shouldn't be that big a deal. Alright, so it almost took me an entire day, but I got rid of, I want to say, like 92% of the bump steer. When I first put this whole thing together, it had some, you know, not terrible bump steer, but it wasn't perfect, and I got rid of most of it. It's still, again, not perfect, but it's good enough for an off-road machine. All I really had to do was just lengthen where the Heim joints connect to the tie rod. I just had to lengthen it by 7/8 of an inch, and it works perfectly now. Still has full range of motion, has plenty of steering angle. Still need to cut some relief, so therefore that doesn't hit there, but still has a lot of steering travel. So I'd say it's good. Let's move on to something else. Alright, this thing is finally standing on its own. We get to finally see what this thing looks like with the tires and the shocks installed. And I gotta say, I really like how this thing looks. It looks mean, it looks fast, and but it does stand a lot taller than I was originally planning. The suspension is a lot stiffer than I was planning on, and it kind of doesn't really work. The rear suspension works a whole lot better than the front suspension. The rear shocks actually get compressed by the weight of the engine and the transmission, so it actually works. It's just a little bit on the stiff side, so I'm not really sure. I am able to get softer springs for the rear shocks. Right now the spring rate is 200 and 250, so I am able to get softer springs for the rear to get them to be a lot softer and have a little bit more travel. But the front suspension, not really sure what we're going to do with this because it barely budges with the weight of the frame. It only works if I jump on it, so... But with the weight of the frame, the suspension doesn't even move. I'm able to pick this thing up. It's so lightweight in the front. So, when I drop it, the shocks like barely budge. Because right now, this is the softest spring rate that King coils have. Right now, the top is 150, the bottom one is 200. This is the softest setup that they have. And it's just a little too strong for the front end of this thing. But we'll figure that out later on. We'll work on that later. But now we definitely have a lot more work to do on this thing. We definitely, we need to finish the steering. We need to finish the fourth chain, the chain that goes in between the engine and the transmission. We need to finalize the placement of the transmission, finalize finish the floor pan. I did buy a radiator for this engine, and I'm still waiting for it to get here. We need to figure out where it's going to go. We need to figure out where our gas tank's going to go, and then we need to figure out where the everything. I don't know how we're going to shift, how we're going to shift the engine. We have to shift two things: the engine and the transmission. So therefore, we're going to have two different shifters on one side. I think the one on the right is going to be for the engine. One on the left is going to be for the transmission. So for the high, low, and all that kind of stuff. So we have to work on all the linkages for that. So we have a lot more work to do on this thing, but at least we can finally see what this thing looks like standing on its own. We can see what it looks like with the tires, and I really like how this thing looks. So anyway, I guess that's the end of this video. Next video, we're just going to be continuing working on this thing, just doing more stuff, finishing this and whatever, and just whatever we can get done in the next video. But for now, I gotta end this video here. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video. Maybe it's a little too hot. What do you think? Maybe it's a little bit too hot. What do you think? Yeah. Oh boy. I know I do, run my drill bits really hard and kind of burn the crap out of them. But that's why I get cheap Chinese drill bits. Therefore I can burn the crap out of them, resharpen them a couple times, and throw them away. Am I burning them? Oh yeah. Do I care? Not really. Need to redo this one because it's not lined up. Asking you guys, what do y'all think? Should I leave? Should I leave the curved piece? I just spent the last 10 minutes perfectly lining that up.